In this video, we're going to take a look at glycolysis, which is the first stage of both aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. So no matter what organism you are and no matter what type of respiration you take part in, you perform glycolysis. Once again, most of the images are adapted from Cognity's higher level biology, but you'll see those citations as we go. So for each of these stages of the metabolic pathways, we're going to start with just stating the general facts. So where it happens, what goes in, what comes out, and the main idea. And then we'll take some time looking at the deeper parts of it. So glycolysis happens in the cytoplasm. And what goes in is glucose, adenosine diphosphate, and NAD or NAD+. What comes out of the reaction is pyruvate, 2 of them, ATP, 2 of those, and 2 NADH. The main idea of this reaction is that a glucose molecule, which is 6 carbons long, is split into 2 3-carbon pyruvate molecules. This reaction does not require oxygen. This reaction is anaerobic, which is why both aerobic and anaerobic processes start with this one. No oxygen is needed in the first step. So the first steps of glycolysis is called the investment stage. To actually get things rolling, we have to spend some ATP. So we have to phosphorylate glucose by adding a phosphate from 2 phosphates, one from each ATP, onto either end of glucose, and that makes a molecule called 1,6-fructose bisphosphate. After that happens, the phosphorylated molecule is split into 2. So now we have 2 3-carbon molecules with 1 phosphate on the one end. Our next stage involves dehydrogenation. So the 2 molecules, the pgal, phosphoglyceraldehyde, are being oxidized by giving up hydrogen to NAD to make NADH. So NAD is reduced to NADH by removing hydrogen from each of those molecules. Those molecules, now that they've lost their electrons and the hydrogens, are then phosphorylated by gaining a phosphate from the cytoplasm. And that's sometimes called substrate level phosphorylation. The final step is energy harvest. So now that we have these 2 3-carbon molecules with each of them with 2 phosphates, they are going to now give their phosphates over to ADP to make ATP. So you end up with 4 ATP made by taking the phosphate off of each molecule to make pyruvate. And that's the end of the stage. So we have investment, some dehydrogenation, and then some energy harvest. This is just another summary to show what happened. So we started with glucose. We used up 2 ATP. We then had 2 3-carbon molecules. We then make 2 NADH. And then we make 4 ATP, but only 2 net because 2 had to be spent at the beginning. So you end up with 2 pyruvate, 2 ATP, and 2 NADH. This is just another diagram. This is from a McGraw-Hill textbook from a long time ago, I believe. So we have glucose spending the 2 ATP. We now split it into 2. We end up with 2 NADH made at this stage and a phosphate coming in from the cytoplasm to phosphorylate the molecule. And then each of those molecules produces helps produce 2 ATP by donating their phosphates to ADP. And that's the overall reaction.